slam champion in Austin, Texas. Yeah. She has shared stages with Buddy Wakefield and the late Amiria Baraka. She used to be a sexual health teacher, and right now she is a full-time gigging, traveling artist. Here's what she does. Yeah! And she writes because she has to, because that's her job now, and she eats cupcakes for fun. She's a native Texan. The South is in her, and she's the author of 2 books. The Queen's Glory and The Pussy's Box is available through Weekly Weird Monthly. That's weeklyweirdmonthly.com. And you can also get, there's a lot of cool stuff on there. You can get like a creepy Charles Bukowski sticker. Go check it out. And her second book, Love Letters to Bald Fists, can be purchased via Timber Mouse Publishing, which is a small press here in town that focuses on publishing spoken word artists. That's timbermouse.com. Let's see. Ebony will also be performing tomorrow at, Mr. Catfish tomorrow. And then on Saturday at Spider House Ballroom, which is right across the street. If you don't know where it is, look out the door. It's right there. You have no excuse not to go. It is Austin Poetry Slam's 20th year. They're celebrating their 20th year this week. So Ebony's going to be doing some stuff with that. You're going to love what you're about to hear, and you have no excuse not to check her out tomorrow or Saturday. You live in Austin, so does she. Let's see, I first heard Ebony read, actually I moved down here and I kept having this experience of walking into a room and like eavesdropping, and someone would say like, oh, Ebony Stewart, she's a must-see. And I would read an article that would be like 15 things to do in Austin, one would be like, see Ebony Stewart perform. And I had never heard of anything like that before. I was like, what is this? So I finally got to see her read, and she was amazing. And I haven't seen any other performers that are up to her stature and level. And AR and I are super thrilled to have her tonight. After she reads, we're going to give you some more information where you can find places to buy her books. And Ebony Stewart, close us out.
Very cool. Thank you so much. I should take you with me places. Read stuff.
You have to do.
Bios and shit. So, my name is Ebony Stewart, as he said, aka the Gully Princess, aka I'll eat your cupcake. Anywho, and so really honestly, I know that I'm supposed to like give you all some like background information about my work and try to explain, but what I want to do is just like go through it and then open it up for questions, because I don't know what you really want to know. You feel me? Like I don't want to give you too much information. Your ass ain't really gonna know that. You know what I'm saying? So we'll do that, and what I'll try to do is kind of make it fall as like a storyline so that it's easy to understand pretty much my life and where I am at this point. Is that cool? Wow. Thank you so much. How I came. 1. My mother sat young and warm on top of the trunk of her father's Buick. Running loose in books she read with escape, unaware of her fetching hips and eyes, the way she pulled back the foreskin of men and made their tongues hang and scrotums ache. My father, too cool he was, visited the house across the street from her so he could lay his eyes to her skin. He invited himself over. A too much hard, real smooth, like a fast talker, he was his own kind of gentleman horny. The kind of man that gave up his jacket to shiver but had a mean streak. His mother died before he learned how to appreciate the offerings of a woman. My mother was a new fool with sweet dimples and a suitcase, unaware of the spells cast into her sprained body, behind her rib cage, in the way he broke her open mouth with a slight overbite, tremble, asking and yes, with her head back. 2. They made one out of collarbones, wet necks, fingers, and hot breath. A slow tongue, a delicate caress and deliberate sticky, There is no shame in wanting a body next to yours. The smell of us together is how we be grown. There is no denying a love like this. 3. They made the other one out of scrap-screeching sirens that used to be a symphony until a mosh got a hold of his knuckles. Baby girl is a wound twirler. Be curdled roly-poly to Papa's voice. He gotta sound like nails to a chalkboard. When I'm born, he'll have scram for a face. Girl, don't you know, when men leave, they don't come back until they do. 4. If you want to survive in this house, girl, you must first learn how to be ramshackle mouth and devastated heart. You must find your voice in the back of your mother's throat if she ever stops swallowing. You must always be reaching and pulling back dust. When it is something, you will call it not enough. Get used to the sound of the world falling apart in your mother's tears. Be forever searching for somewhere to leave your anger, to bury yourself alive in all this lonely and fuck up. Let someone you don't know or trust have all of you. You want to be loved, girl. Now, prepare your being for the drought winter's bring, the growing summer's blood. Make your body an ocean's tank. Be ready when you dare let sharks taste you, when they use their teeth to take and shred, leaving you a dissolvable chewed limb. Don't you know that's how Jamaica got its rain shadow and Louisiana its jazz? Don't you know they will eat all of your fruit, girl, even the smallest bud you have yet to bloom? Don't you know brass and steel band? You are too much sass and strain. When they're done with you, they won't even name a parish after you or let you speak in your native tongue, but you wouldn't know how, even if you could. So I'm working on like some new things, and it's for this one-woman show called Hungered that will go up at the Vortex on August 27th and go until September 5th. So it's only for 2 weeks, so you know if you want to come and shit. So, beginnings. It will end the way it started, little girl. Notepad, lap, pen, curved hand awkwardly holding on, writing her name first, the healing second. It will end the way it started, imagination, want, push, learning, saying her name, sounding it out, making her name sound like a word. She writes her name till it sound like poetry, till it sound like owning, till it be the beginning of her being and necessary existence. Juicy. Because all my aunties be shaped like pears, peaches, and watermelon. Because we be the fruit that didn't fall far from the tree. Because Juicy be a woman, sweet enough to stand still or keep a man coming back on his knees. Because there's a such thing as too sweet, and they can smell her coming. Because every house has a kitchen. Because the whole house is a stove with an oven. Because the women in this house best know how to cook and burn something. Because if you can't cook and burn, you'll find a man who wants something more than to eat. Because every woman in this house been stolen from her own home at least once. Now they keep a knife under their pillows while they sleep. Because we don't talk about it. Because we can't say. Because secrets can be fixed with a door, and Daddy finally got the goddamn door fixed anyway. Because they still bang. Because you promised you wasn't gonna let nothing else happen to you or Sissy again, no how, no way. Because the windows on her face say, this ain't no trap house. Because the fiends keep lurking. Because one of us standing on the porch, she letting them take ass shots, she taunting and twerking because she ain't fully aware of her body's worth and she been touched too much. She think a man only come to women who treat their bodies like servants because she forgot to be her own hallelujah. Because nobody taught her not to be temporary. Because honey, because child, grandmama still prayeth in the folds of her hands by the fruit of her loins. Joy cometh in the morning, and free we be with all our spilt juices. back in our bodies.
Whew.
Cool, thanks. All right. I'm still in the journey of becoming a woman, and because I am currently brewing the woman's stew. Some of y'all know what that means. It's probably because you ain't a woman and you ain't got a uterus. So. That might have something to do. Anywho. Feminist table. I wore something that showed off my soft side and made me feel black girl pretty. I'm always reminded that I'm a black girl. So pretty for a dark-skinned black girl, though, I rolled my hair to one side, making it look like a flower. Not needed. I stuck a real one in a crease anyway. My color does not negate my ability to be dainty. I arrived on time. I know there's a joke about how late my kind can be. I let my mouth turn into teeth. Got a mind how plain and unpleasant my face can be, how uncomfortable it gets, how much of a threat I can be. Still smiling, I followed you across the parlor floor into the dining room that held the long wooden table. I pulled out the weighted chair and sat behind porcelain plates and silverware all trimmed in gold with my hands folded in my lap like the manners I've been given. All the different colored eyes and size of white women you could think of were there, but I couldn't find another face like mine anywhere, but yet you're satisfied. Quote, pointing to a few brown faces in a crowd does not come close to including more voices you need to hear. It only shows they were lucky enough to sneak in. Talk about rape, like black women don't get raped too. Talk about misogyny, like a black woman's body and booty ain't been exotically praised, objectified, only to be praised in satire again. Don't act like you didn't know. Where there is a black girl, there is magic. Talk about how you left 6 figures to raise your children like my whole life and been poverty and single class mother surviving because you see our men are a number incarcerated greater than those who were enslaved. That there be the new nigga. Talk about education but failed to mention the lack of education, resources and inclusion the black and brown kids get. Just ask the schools on the east side. My struggle don't move you though. Ain't I a woman? Maybe if I wasn't so black. So black girl angry and jaw flapping, got too much back talk and opinion, right? Too much plaits and texture, not enough smooth, always side-eyeing pursed lips and swaying. Maybe if I didn't take up so much space when I walked into a room, if I knew how to take a joke, if I didn't confuse your questions for disrespect or borderline subtleties, if I were just more submissive, tiptoed and didn't correct you, if I would just speak when spoken to. Dear feminist, even you modern day feminist, you still got work to do. You can start by including all the black and brown girls who bear the grunt and tonnage of this world. Saying racism is wrong will not suffice. Let a woman of color have her power without the inherited desires to shrink it away. Be reminded that we cry too. Be also reminded that people of color have been hurt enough. The impulse of a defensive Western culture sailed in and parched the room of silence. How dare I challenge your privilege? How dare you try to make this overgrown mouth one size fits all. Pussy. I won't go into all the work you've done, the leaking, the beginnings you carried, the dilating into a ready body with an opera-like mouth, pink and wide, but they won't let you speak. Less in boom-pat soft cry to survive, less in tunnel moan or police scream. In the South, every womb is a swamp and sword fight with no rights to what goes in or how it comes out. You gotta be loud and ready to be interrupted. You gotta be an unruly mob, as if that is the worst of all the names you've ever been called. Never anything anyone wants, but always taken. I won't go into the sacrifice, the forgotten worship and stolen pearl, how you had to drown a man alive, how you had to bend a hanger once, how you almost bled forever. I won't go into all you've had to endure. More interested in how your river runs clean and your dark rain groomed. how your reverence comes out slippery, the way you get wet with repair, how you grieve deep and become your own prisoner, then flower bomb into art factor, how you've always been an exhibit of how to swell, how to swallow, and how to properly wear a crown. So I just want to open it up to see if there's any questions about anything. Oh, great. Hang on, what's going on?
Can you talk a little bit about the creation of the first poem, How I Came?
Oh, yeah. So, my parents are Jamaican and Creole, and it's a very interesting household. It was a very interesting household. Things were loud. My family is still very loud. Food is always a situation. It's an event, right? You can't have nothing without food. And anger is also a real big thing in my family. So I think the way it came about is that my parents were in love and they were beautiful beings together, and I never got to see what that looked like, ever. I have not one recollection of my parents kissing. And that, I think that weighs a lot on a kid, you know, because that's your first idea of what a relationship should look like. And they made my sister out of like so much love, and I think it's funny when I see those commercials, I don't know if you've seen them, where the mom like is taking care of her baby and she wants everybody to like wipe their hands before they touch her baby, and then the second baby she just like hold it, whatever, I got stuff to do, right? And so my mom and my dad made my sister out of so much love, and when I came it was more of, they were already falling apart. I came into that situation of them always being broken and trying to put themselves back together. And when they finally did, they broke up, and it just worked for them to be whole beings by themselves. Other questions? Yes.
I'm curious about how you found your voice. Did you just immediately start connecting this at such a deep level, or is this something that you kind of gradually came to?
Oh, thank you. I feel like I'm always trying to find my voice. I'm always trying to get comfortable with how I sound so that I can hope that other people will enjoy how I sound. But I started journaling before I started writing poetry, and so I feel like oftentimes how people can make things look really poetic on a page. I don't got none of that. But I'm just like, where put the line on the page. But so, as far as like what I wanted to read like is how I write it. How I want it to sound is how I write it. So I write the lines and then I read them and see if I like the way it sounds coming from me. I know I'm not gonna be there when y'all reading it, but that's just, I mean, like, that's literally what happens. Like, I'm just like, I like how it sounds right now. So I think I'm always, just to answer your question, I'm always working on my voice, and I think I have had to learn how to be quiet for listening and outspoken to be heard. So I think that's just how it came about. Thanks. Hey,
Will you tell us more about your one-woman show and like where the inspiration came from? And, like,
yeah, oh, that's a great question. So the name of the one-woman show is Hunger, and someone asked me in an interview one time if I could ask myself a question, what would it be, and then how would I answer it, right? Well, that's cool. Good. But then what happened is that I thought about it. I was like, what question would I ask myself? And then I thought a little bit more about it, and I realized that the question always has been and always probably will be is why my father wasn't in my life. And so I have that hunger and I crave him every single day, right? And I think that you can work on that relationship and you can want it to be, but I'm also learning how to mourn that relationship that I won't ever have with him. Because now if he comes back into my life, I'm a grown-up, you know, I'm a grown woman. So everything that that I needed him for, he won't or hasn't been there. So it came from that. It also stemmed from me getting married too young and then getting a divorce And then always, in every relationship, I find something wrong with it, so I can like, no, get out of here, it's not gonna work out. It stems from all of that and trying to answer those questions that I have for myself about why do I not think that I'm a lovable person? Why do I read horoscopes and think that shit is real? You know what I mean? Like, literally, I read that it said that Scorpios are not compatible with anyone. That's what it said. That's what I read. You know what I'm saying? And I text my friend Zay, and I was like, this is what this thing said. I'm never gonna be with nobody, especially what it's saying. I'm not compatible with nobody. I'm gonna fuck up everybody life all the time. So, just working through that. that's what it's about, working through that hunger and that crave that I was.
There's such a contrast between your speaking voice now and your reading voice. It's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Let's talk about being a full-time touring artist.
Oh, let's talk about it. I'll tell you something. People are crazy. But no, you know what I tell people is that as being a full-time, it's scary. It's a big deal because I have to explain to my family, who are very hard workers, that I'm not on vacation. Literally, they said, you're on vacation every day. No, but I'm not. It's not that they don't value my work, it's that they see it as, you get to sit around and write all day. What's so hard about that, But they ain't writing shit, so they don't know that it's hard. They go and somebody tell them what to do. So it's been very interesting. So what I do is I go to colleges around the U.S. and I perform poetry, and I do this thing called Anonymous Box Questions because I used to teach sexual health, and so I like for college students to ask me questions so I can help them. And it's remarkable how many similarities there are between 6th and 7th grade and like they have the same kind of questions, so it's real easy. And so I go and I talk about sexual health, I talk about healthy relationships, consent, and healthy body image, like just trying to make us better people. And then it's very interesting how someone will read my bio and know what I do. And then a Catholic school will bring me in and say something like, can you remember the Catholic perspective? And I'm like, I'm not Catholic, I don't even know. What is that perspective, right? Tell me what it is and I'll tell you if I can remember it. And then, so, remembering the Catholic perspective of just abstinence before marriage, and I'm like, I don't believe that. You don't want me to say that. You don't really want me to say that because I don't believe that, right? I don't even live that kind of life. So, but that part is like always interesting and trying. Or when I see a lot of like misogyny, I think that artists, and I'm almost positive because you can always feel the energy of artists in the room. No matter what that artistry is, like I feel like oftentimes we suffer the most because we're so aware and so sensitive and always so fed up. You know what I mean? Like I wake up, I'm good, and then I'm here, really? I was good, So I think it's an interesting job that I prayed for, I asked for, I put it in the universe, and I got it, so I'm not complaining about it. I love it, right? And then I'm also really moved and surprised by how generous and supportive and sweet people, like random people you don't know, can be. So it's been an interesting thing. I spent this past spring in the Midwest, and they don't have spring. I don't know about spring. And I don't know anything about -degree weather. So I feel that the weather was very disrespectful. My hair, my skin, it didn't hear nothing about my life. But so I'm hoping not to do that again. I would like to not do that again. Yeah. Any other questions? Hey.
Cool. So the first question I have is, how do you think being a teacher has influenced or informed the way that you perform and share your work? And then also, do you feel So there's a feeling that you have when you teach. Do you feel anything remotely like close to that when you perform?
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the first one first, and then I'm probably gonna ask you what the second one was. Alright. I feel like every day I would walk into a classroom, I felt like I was on. Like I had to be on stage. I had to be on. They don't care nothing about your feelings. They don't care nothing about if you ate nothing. They don't care about anything. And it's okay, right? And I feel like when you're performing, you have to be just as selfless in trying to make sure that you're, what's the word I'm looking for? Reading or sharing relatable work. I also think that when I first started like performing, it came in the way of slam. And so it had to be like, boom, boom, let's get it, 3 minutes, got 'em, you know what I mean? And after becoming a teacher, knowing that I had to slow down, that the words matter, right? And so being able to say the information in a clear and concise way and then revisit it. So I think that it's helped me slow my work down and make sure that I'm being heard and real deliberate in my writing as well. So I don't know, does that answer your question? Cool, second.
Oh, the second question was, well, I guess you kind of answered, but it was basically, do you feel like you teach when you perform?
Oh man, I hope I do.
Schools.
I hope I do. I hope that's always the plan, and I hope that in teaching, I hope that I'm always learning too, right? So I'm trying to feel the energy, and I don't know how many people really believe in that, but energy is like a huge thing to me, and so I'm trying to feel out the room as I'm reading, and then something might happen where I need to change my mind and read something else, right? Because the room called for it. Somebody's heart was, you know what I mean? Like, give it to me this way. So I'm hoping that that's what happens.
And we've got time for one more.
Oh,
So.
great. No problem.
I guess mine, I was actually thinking this when I was watching you. You put so much emotion into it, so it's got to be very, how do you, when you're done, do you get back to I know I didn't say a lot of words, but
No, I get what you mean. Like, how do I calm down, or how do I like?
yeah. I mean, because you give a lot of emotion, that takes a lot of energy.
Calm down, girl. I don't know how to even answer that question. I'm a really emotional person. Like, I'm really emotional. I can literally watch something on a commercial, and I'm not on my period or nothing, and just start crying because I'm just like, oh my gosh, they just got me that quick in that commercial, you know? I'm just a really emotional person, so I don't think that I'm ever trying to come out. I'm always present, but I've been trying to like do like little rituals, like listen to music that I know I need to hear, or my family and friends left me voicemails, so I go and I listen to their voicemails when I'm on the road. Ariana just got me some rosemary, like a little concoction I can rub on myself and like, get me right. So I think that's what I do or try to do or I'm practicing, but I don't know if I know how to come down. Yeah.
That's how you couldn't find the word.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.